Oftentimes, we don't realize that the blessing of just being able to recite and listen to the Qur'an is a blessing in and of itself that requires its own episode. An example of this, I'll share a story as well. Approximately 10 years ago, after witr prayer in the masjid, in the month of Ramadan, a young man comes up, and he was about 16 or 17 years old. And it looked like he had just stopped crying, like he had been crying in the prayer. So I said salam to him, and he didn't respond. He took out one of those phones back then that had the keyboards on the side, and he started typing very quickly. So I realized, as he was kind of responding with lips and writing on the phone, that he wasn't able to hear. He was deaf. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this brother. His story really affected me and affected many people after that. He introduced himself. He told me who he was. He said when he was 16 years old, several years before this, his mother had really, really been motivating him, pushing him to recite and memorize the Qur'an. Not a day can go by without you connecting to the Qur'an. And connect to it because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's speech. These are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she would always motivate him. He felt a strong attachment to the Qur'an, a strong love for the Qur'an, a strong love and a connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through it. And he said, I didn't know where this came from, but the encouragement from my mother made a huge difference. When he was 16 years old, he was kind of finishing up his ijazah. He had just finished reciting the last parts of what he had memorized. He finished reciting to his teacher. And approximately a week after he finished and he received his certificate and everything else, he lost the ability to hear. He said, now I can't hear the Qur'an. Now it's as though sometimes in the month of Ramadan, it's as though I can distantly hear it, but I'm not even sure I can hear it. He said, when I feel like I can hear the Qur'an in Ramadan, I start to cry. And I'm not ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm grateful that He gave me the blessing of finishing memorizing the Qur'an before I lost the ability to hear. SubhanAllah, when he said this, it made me feel that we are oftentimes ungrateful, not appreciative for the blessing of being able to open the Mus'haf anytime we want, and in our times as well, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through listening to the Qur'an. We are living in the generation of a blessing that no previous generations used to have, which is access to millions of recordings of Qur'an anytime we want. An example is the one that Sheikh Jamal just mentioned of looking up a recording. We speak of it so naturally, we don't realize what a blessing it is.